welcome back to Ugly Truck. Today we're going to show you how to change a 4L60E over to either a two-wheel drive or a four-wheel drive, whichever you need to do, okay? There's a ton of these out there for sale. A lot of times we buy them low miles and they really don't need rebuilt or anything, but people end up having a 4x4 because that's the most common one, it seems like. And they want to change it over to two-wheel drive, and they think that's a difficult task, and it really isn't. So we're going to go through the simplest way to do that today and show you how it's done, all right?
Sweet.
It's raining, so I'm going to be yelling about everything. I'm not angry. It's just rain.
It's just rain.
Okay?
Okay.
Let's do it.
Do it.
All right, most couples, they sit around and they dream about a remodeled bathroom, remodeled kitchen, something silly like that. Not us.
No.
We want a shop that is soundproof so we don't have to deal with the rain, okay?
Yeah, maybe not a metal roof.
Our apologies. Someday we will have that, okay?
Someday.
So I'm gonna yell like I said, but here we go. The 4L60 by far the best transmission, 4L60E, best transmission by far for doing an LS swap or swapping most things, okay? Absolutely, an LS swap.
Yeah.
It's the perfect length. It's the same dimensions as a 700 R4. Everybody that contacts us these days, they're always talking about they want to put a 6-speed in there or even a 4L80. 4L80s are longer. 6 speeds are definitely longer. But this transmission is by far the best transmission for a swap, okay?
Yep, it's the easiest, simplest way to go.
Yep, it is a 4-speed. This one here is a 4L longitudinal, so you don't want to put this in a front-wheel drive vehicle, okay?
Oh, okay.
All right, that's it for my jokes today.
Oh, okay. Transmission jokes.
All right, and then it's Peeve, the next one. Nobody cares what that is, and it's for a truck, okay? It came out of a truck.
Okay.
Now, this one here, it needs rebuilt completely, but we're gonna, for video's sake, we're gonna say, hey, this thing has got 80,000 miles on it, and we bought it, and everything in it works perfectly, but we need it to be a 4x4 one, okay?
Okay.
Or a two-wheel drive one. And we'll show you the difference between those here in a little bit. But you don't have to tear the whole thing completely apart. And I'm going to show you the least things you have to do in order to change that out, okay?
Okay.
So this one's already got the bell housing off of it. So what do we have? I already took the fluid out of it. I drained it. So let's start with taking the 2.4, what's that called? Servo, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I believe it is. And I'm going to call stuff by the wrong name, and I just count on everybody that sends in comments to tell me the correct name for them.
Yeah,
and I actually do love that.
Yes, that's how we know what it's actually called.
Yeah, I don't mind being wrong, and when somebody tells me, hey, that's called something else, I do appreciate it. Thank you.
Yes.
So keep it coming. All right, thank you. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and get this off there first. See how it moves in there a little bit? They're not the easiest thing to get off if you're not used to doing it. Little screwdriver, there's an O-ring right there, but you've got to tap it in a little ways, and some of those can be like really corroded in there and not want to come out. In that case, I end up usually I'll hit them with some WD-40 to begin with,
Yeah.
you know, when they show up, but this one's gonna come out pretty easy because it's been apart fairly recently, I think.
Yeah.
Okay. Sometimes you just got to get a bigger screwdriver.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So this is where you start taking things apart and just putting them in a row. Okay.
Keep them all in order.
Yep. So you don't have to go look at a book or anything to see how they go. Okay.
pesky instructions.
Yeah. It's got a spring. Starts with the spring there. Okay.
Yep.
All right. So that's it for everything in there. That pin that was on this, it goes in and pushes on the 2-4 band, I believe. Okay.
Okay.
So now we won't have to mess with that. Let's take the pan off. I've already had the pan off of it. It is nasty inside. This transmission actually is like a lot of them and has lost third and fourth gear.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's all clutch material, and most likely it seems like it's probably the 3 and 4 clutch material, but we'll see, but not for this video. We've got rebuild videos on it. You can go back and watch those. Okay, filter's going to get replaced. Okay, so let's say we're going to just do the 4-wheel drive conversion, okay? 2-wheel drive and 4-wheel drive conversion. So the first thing I got to do is I got to get the front pump out of this thing. And in order to get the front pump out of it, you've got to take the solenoid out that goes down to the torque converter engagement part of the pump, okay?
Okay.
So, and it's that piece right there, and we got to get to it. And in order to get to that, we've got to pull out this servo. And if somebody put that spring in there upside down, I'm in big trouble. Okay, because that does happen when somebody does a valve body on these. If it's ever been worked on before, this spring could be in there upside down, and then you have to take the valve body off. Okay? See, that spring just went shooting off somewhere. Mm-hmm. So we'll have to go to my spring collection and find another one.
Actually, I see it over here.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I better grab it before we lose it. Cool. Thank you.
Just has some dog hair on it now.
All right, so there's one of the shift solenoids. All right, there's nothing else inside there to fall out. It's just this thing. Okay.
Okay.
So I'll put that in my pile of parts. The torque converter solenoid, held in with 2 screws, or 2 bolts, I should say. Right? I already named something wrong.
Oh, surely that's not the first one.
Yeah. Okay. So I can just leave that with it for now, okay? Don't need to undo it. Leave it the pan, you know. We'll put the pan back on it.
Yeah.
All right, so the front pump. Okay, it's got a seal. It might come off with the pump, but probably won't. Let's take the O-ring off. The O-ring's got to come off in order for the pump to go over it. The O-ring's for the torque converter clutch. Take a pry bar. I go against the where the filter was and break that thing loose. Come on. All right. Okay, so there's the front pump. If we were rebuilding it, you know, we'd check all of our Teflon seals there. We're going to replace them anyway. But if you weren't rebuilding it, then you'd want to check all those. Okay. So we need the tail shaft off, so I can use my special tool. Set the pan back on it so we can turn it around. Alright, so I gotta remember to turn it this direction so I don't bend my selector. Okay. Alright, so I need the tail shaft off of it, or the tail shaft housing, okay? Okay.
Okay.
2-wheel drive, or rear wheel drive, tail shaft housing, okay?
Okay.
Alright, so this is where this special tool comes in. I sell these for $144.95.
Plus shipping.
Right? Oh yeah, plus shipping. So it ends up being around 200 bucks.
Yeah, so if you're interested, send us an email.
It's well worth it. I do them in 2x8 and I also do them in 2x10s.
Ooh.
The 2x10s are a little pricier.
Yeah, you know. It is treated though. It's treated,
That's true, it's
treated
treated.
lumber.
Okay, so here's where a little bit of strength comes in.
Oh, yeah.
I'd recommend doing that with a cherry picker.
Yeah.
Okay. The pump gasket. Now, in here we've got the band. Okay?
Yes. Getting the band back together.
That's right. Okay, and there's a dowel in there. Okay. Alright, it's going to be difficult to see, but for that band, there's a pin that is underneath the valve body between this clutch and the valve body, okay?
Okay.
And there's just enough room to get that band out of there, okay? And it is hard to do. I've ran into them where I couldn't get it done, but most of them I have, because the pin kind of wants to come out with the band when you're pushing on it. So you got to mess with it a little bit. So then I get in there with a pry bar once it's, you know, off the pin.
Yeah.
Press it away from it. And now I can get this band out of there. Or no, the drum comes in. That's right. Okay. And there you go.
Okay.
All right.
Down right there.
Yeah, so that's the dowel. All right, and it's the big problem. So that's the difficult part of it. And that's why a lot of people end up taking the whole valve body off, which in order to do that, and you got to take the shift linkage off, the parking paw, all that, but you can do it without, okay?
Yes. Just gotta fiddle with it.
Yeah, you got to fiddle with it. All right?
Okay.
So, this, your reverse clutch, okay?
Okay.
So, and then this is the third and fourth clutches, okay?
Okay.
We don't really care. We know these are burnt up. Oh yeah, look at that.
Oh yeah.
Look how much play there is. So we got problems there. So, but this is going to get rebuilt. But like I said, if the transmission was fine, we'd just set this off to the side, keep your parts in order. And so right now, okay, what do we got to do now? There's a snap ring right there. And I actually bought these just for doing this. They're Blue Point. I got them off a Snap-on truck, PR15. We'll put a link to it, or Emily will, because this is a difficult snap ring to do without these. Okay, sit.
Okay.
Right. So we have that snap ring off. All right.
Okay.
And now we're gonna we need to knock the output shaft out. Okay. Do it with a piece of something softer than what that metal is. Brass, good piece of wood.
All right.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
So that's a 2-wheel drive output shaft.
Okay.
Okay. This is a 4-wheel drive output shaft.
Okay.
Okay. Say we're putting it either way. Okay. We're going to turn this into a 4x4. Not really.
Yeah. Just for fun.
Yep. Okay.
Okay.
Turn this around so you can see. Okay.
There you go.
All right. Now we're just going to go in reverse to what we did. Remember when I didn't have these pliers?
Mm-hmm.
That was bad.
It's not a family-friendly show.
No. They get it? Take a tap on it just to be sure it's in there. Yep. Okay, so we've already reached the halfway point, okay?
Yay.
Make sure that thing's sitting all the way down. There you go. All right, so the reverse drum there, if it's below the pump, then you've got a good idea that it's all the way down there, okay? Okay. So now we got to fight to get the band back in there. Getting the band back together. Randy. So, I take and I push that pin in as far as it'll go. Yeah, good.
There you go.
All right, so the band is back around it. It's on its pin the way it's supposed to be. Honestly, getting it off that pin is the hardest thing to do.
Yeah.
I don't think there's one of them that we haven't been able to not do that, where I did have to do the valve body for some reason.
Yeah, I don't think
But
so.
we usually do the whole transmission, but it can just be done like this, okay?
Okay.
So I'm gonna get rid of the pump seal, okay? Before I go to put this back together. You know, don't reuse that, get a new one.
Yeah.
Okay, so far, this piece is something you'd have to replace. The pump gasket. Okay.
Good.
This seal, okay, it has to drop these two little nubs. Have to be in those holes right there.
Okay.
If you just drop that pump down on top of this with that sitting there and having it not lined up, the pump wouldn't draw down all the way, and that's a problem. I don't use Vaseline anymore, otherwise Vaseline does work, but people yelled at me, so I bought some
Assembly glue.
yeah, it does work better than Vaseline. I've used it a bunch nowadays, so it's the way to go. And it was cheap. Get it? Okay. All right, so that assembly glue, it'll hold it in its place while you're holding it upside down.
Yep.
Right? Your pump. That's your filter, so that's how I figure out how to line them up. Okay? See what you got for end play. You got some end play there, so you know that's okay. Everything's put together right. All right, and then the seal, okay. I should have put that on before I slipped the pump in there, okay. But it's held in with the
Bell housing.
bell housing,
Yeah.
okay. So done. Put the O-ring back on for the torque converter. Get it?
Yep.
All right, so we did that. We've got a four-wheel drive tail housing, or tail shaft in it now, okay?
Okay.
We did not take the valve body off. We did not mess with any of that stuff. All we did was take the torque converter solenoid out, this little thing right here, right?
Yep.
So we'll put it back in. Held in with these 2 bolts. I'm just going to run them down when we're going to rebuild this, and then we'll torque these when we put it all back together. Put your shift solenoid back in. If you can find the spring that you lost. Where'd it go? What did we do with it? Oh, there it is, stuck in the bottom of the bucket. Okay, that thing holds that in. They go in through the top, but they can go through the bottom also. So you always want to put them together through the top, just in case you have to take them out.
Through the bottom, you mean?
Yeah, through the bottom, I guess. It's confusing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which way is up?
Make sure you plug it back in so it'll shift.
Yeah.
Make sure it's in all the way, which it is. So there you go. Okay.
Okay.
Let's put the pan back on. You'd put a filter in it, of course.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That'd be your point then to do that. Okay. We'll put this back together. Start with the spring. This piece, I didn't, take it all apart, so I'm going to put it back in the way it was. They make a special tool to hold these things in to do it. I don't have it. I wish I did have one.
Yeah, that one would be pretty handy.
Okay. Absolutely make sure that spring is down. I've seen those come out or not be put in all the way, and then it loses all its transmission fluid and causes a big problem. All right, so here's your 4x4 adapter. It just bolts on the same way the other one did. Same bolts and everything. The problem with the 4x4 ones is you wrench them on. You can't really get an impact or something like that on them. But these things do crack also. So you want to be careful when you bolt them down, that if you can torque them down evenly, great, but don't over tighten these because you can crack these.
Yeah.
And you'll have a weird leak. The ones on the bottom are the hard ones to get to. All right.
Okay.
So you get the idea. I'm not going to tighten them down because we're going to turn it back into a 2-wheel drive transmission. All right.
Okay. There you go.
Okay, so that's all it takes to change one either into a 2-wheel drive transmission or a 4-wheel drive transmission, okay? If you've got a transmission that is low miles, doesn't have a bunch of junk in the pan, I have felt good about going ahead and doing that, just replacing the filter. Always replace the gaskets and the O-rings, anything that you remove to do that. Replace those then, okay? And then you're okay. You don't have to worry about resizing the that stator or the input shaft on it.
Yeah.
Those Teflon seals, they keep their shape in enough time for you to go ahead and do that. So you don't have to worry about that. I highly recommend if you get one that is up there in the miles, say it's 150 to 200,000 miles and it still looks great inside, I would still probably at least go in and replace the bonded pistons that are in the 3-4 clutches.
Yeah.
And those things fail, and that's usually what takes the 3-4 out from what I've seen. And then you don't have to worry about it. But we've got a donor sitting outside that has 450,000 miles on it.
Yes.
And it still performs flawlessly, and it was just maintained really well. So how the pistons in it lasted 450,000 miles, I don't know, but they do that, and they are great transmissions.
No, you said doo-doo.
Do we have any butt connectors? Okay, and The ones that want bigger transmissions, like if you're not going to pull something, this is capable of carrying, handling 360 foot-pounds of torque, right? So if you're putting this in your pickup, and if you can't get your tires to break loose with 360 foot-pounds of torque, then you got way oversized tires, or it's geared really bad. Because this thing will handle it, and there's no reason not to use this transmission because they are awesome. Okay.
Yes, and they're plentiful.
Yeah, and they're electronic, and so it makes them tunable also. So
Yep.
So that's the ideal thing for them. Like I said, it's exactly the same body as a 700 R4, so it makes it a little easier to plan your swap, especially if you were taking a 700 R4 out. You know where everything's kind of going to sit that way. So
Yep.
so that's why we love them, and that's why we end up using a lot of them. The 4L80 is very similar to this transmission, and we'll put out the video of us doing this conversion on that one of these days. But people have been asking about 4L60s a bunch, so we thought we'd do this.
Yep. Yep. It's a video we teased you guys with a few times, so finally getting it out there.
Yep. All right. We hope that helps somebody out. We really appreciate you watching. Thanks.